Bill Poett Performance Group would like to welcome you to our Peak Performance Training Series, Episode 2, Wisdom, Managing the Emotion of Success. At this time, I'd like to thank our sponsors, ReadyTalk, who bring you the technology and the teams for the best audio and web conferencing online available. Express Employment Professionals of Santa Barbara, specialists in bringing together the most qualified candidates with the most progressive, successful companies. And the Santa Barbara Human Resources Association, hundreds of human resource professionals who are committed to raising the standards within their industry and improving the quality and conduct of business in Santa Barbara County. I'm your coach, Bill Poett. I'm the author of the ABCs of Peak Performers. My career began 25 years ago as a knife fighting instructor, and it was my job to help men and teams develop the physical, intellectual, and emotional resources they needed to win in the most extreme environments. Today, I take those same technologies into companies, organizations, and governmental agencies, and I work with clients with whom winning is essential. And we're not looking for flavor-of-the-month approaches to success. We are looking for time-proven strategies. And what we're going to be focusing on in Episode 2 is the energetic flow of success. And for the last 100 years, the intellect and education has been the driving force in the processes and tools used by teams across the United States. Kaizen, Six Sigma, Lean, Quality, 360 are all based on cerebral processes and educations designed to enhance a team's performance. What we're doing is we're taking this training to the next level, and we are recognizing the heart, the emotional, the energetic component of success. These are the soft skills. These are the intangibles that really bring companies and teams to the next level. And we're going to be giving you a formula that, when applied, it really harnesses the power of the intellect and the spirit to drive your teams to levels of success beyond anything you're currently experiencing. Let's take a moment and let's take a look at this new paradigm of what success is and looks like. If your lifestyle or business does damage to anyone's health, intellect, relationships, or community, how then can it be called successful? And for years, I have seen and worked with companies and watched models where the goal was to drain, suck, draw as much life as possible from the team members. And when they burned out, when they couldn't take it anymore, bring in a new member to replace them and continue building the company and their model of success, but really destroying lives and communities along the way. And this is completely unacceptable. The success of our organizations, the success of our companies really have to come down to wins for the team members, their families, the communities that we're serving, and our clients. I want you to get ready for a new business model, and this new business model is thousands of years old. Now, here's my disclaimer. If you are someone that is so cynical and so beat up and so entrenched in your belief systems of how things must work, then save both of us a lot of time, and I recommend turning off the training and going about your business right now. I'm only interested in working with motivated, engaged, and open-minded individuals who recognize on a core level that there is a better way to do business, and more importantly, there's a better way that we must do business. Let's take a look at some of the teams I'm working with. As you can see, I've got government agencies, I've got private agencies, I've got nonprofits and educational institutions. Every one of these teams are committed to a new paradigm of success. And in this new paradigm of success, we are blending the best of the intellect with the best of the heart, spirit, health of the organization to take all of our successes to the next level. In Episode 2, we're going to be taking a look at what they know. And when I say they, I'm talking about the 3% of the population that are experiencing profound success in their chosen pursuits of endeavor. When you look at a world-class athlete, when you look at those gold medalists, what is it they understand about how to train, drive, and bring their human bodies to the highest level of performance? The greatest intellects of today and the past understood something. They had access to a formula. Our most passionate performers, our most serious and successful business people, and the men and women like Mother Teresa who are going out into the world and who have gone out into the world and had a profound impact, they know something that you don't. And it's my intention as we go through this 12-part training series to give you the key, to give you the formula that you need to take your life into that small percentage of people for whom life is really working. And the realities are, for 9 out of 10 Americans, it isn't working. And all you need to do is open any newspaper, turn on the TV, read the blogs, look around you, go to a cocktail party, and you can see how we are suffering. You can see that for 9 out of 10 Americans, life isn't working. And as your coach and as America's coach, I'm committed to changing the paradigms and giving you the tools and the resources and a formula that's going to work and help drive you into that small percentage of the population where life really works. There are 3 paths in life that we can move down. And the first path, and the path that's really driven the last 100 years of business, or really the last 100 years of management, has been driven primarily by the mind and driven by the intellect. There's another path, and this other path is one that is driven primarily by the heart and by our emotions and by our intuition. Today we're going to be focusing on the third path, and the third path is what I call the wisdom path, and this is where our actions, our goals, and the paradigms we use to build and drive our companies are a balance of the head and the heart, and it's this bridge where wisdom is born. And so let's play, let's train, let's take a look at this model and formula. On the left-hand side, and we really began covering this ancient formula in episode 1, we have the process. And the process is very cerebral, and it's very simple. In the earth element, we define what, and here's where we make that declarative, clear, compelling goal that's going to drive our actions and drive our organizations. Once we have determined what we are committed to achieving, we move into the water element. This is the realm of science, education, skill sets, and training, and we develop the abilities, we develop the skills, we master the hows. I know what I want, I know how to achieve it, and now we move into the fire realm. And this is where we really engage the heart energy, the passion, the desire. And what we need to do is we need to attack the what's. Why is this essential? Why is achieving this goal essential? How is it going to benefit my team? How is it going to benefit the organization? How is it going to benefit the community? I need to have an engaged, aligned team to have any success. And then we drop into the final quadrant, which is the wind realm. And this is when. This is the action, the transformational realm. This is where and when we schedule the activities. This is when we do the work. And so the process is very simple to understand. It's very cerebral. What do you want? How do you achieve it? Why is it essential? And when are you going to budget the work to get it done? I want to shift energies. Let's go over to the right side of the screen. Let's talk about the heart component. Let's talk about the fueling or the feelings or the energetic drivers of success. And this facet or component of the training model has really been ignored for the last 100 years, and this is really why I see so many organizations and individuals and families failing. I need to understand the energies and the feelings behind the processes. So when the leadership of an organization sets a goal, we come from a very earth-grounded place. We are resolute. We are solid. We are powerful. We don't make wishes and wants. We set declarative statements, and we set a clear direction and path for our teams. When we move into the science realm, the how, the skill set development, it is essential that we let go of any bias or any attachments. Pure science is when we are feeling observant. We are disconnected to the outcome. We are looking for the best strategy, the best tool, and we do it from a really open mind. When I have developed the skill sets, I now jump to the opposite and complementary element, And this is the fire realm. And this is, I have to be passionate. I have to be committed. I have to be all in to the success and completion of my team's goal. And this is what alignment means. When my leadership has created a compelling goal, when it's trained and supported me, and all of us see the benefit of success, we are passionate, we are committed, and we are aligned for its outcome. And then we drop down into this last element, into this wind realm. And wind is the realm of motion, of activity, of movement. Massive, intelligent, focused action, and we do it, and we do it, and we do it until we move into the center, and we've achieved our result. And as I continue to work with you, and as we continue to train, your understanding of how these energies feel, how they react in your body, and how they react in the relationships and dynamics of your team are going to become really crucial to your success. Again, I want to point out that less than 1 in 10 Americans understand and apply both phases. But over the last 20 years, and I've worked with members of our SEAL teams, hostage rescue team, Wayne Gretzky, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, when I've walked them through the model and walked them through the components of it, they absolutely and they universally agree. It is that blend, that balance of the intellect and that heart and that soft skills, emotional, spiritual component that ultimately drives success. The goal of this training, the goal of this process is to help you unlock the keys to your potential, help you unlock the keys to your team's success. Another way that we can look at this formula, look at this model, the earth element is where inspiration comes from. It's when our leadership sets a clear, compelling goal that it fires the imagination and it inspires us to be bigger, to do more, to have more. We then move into the educational, into the water realm, and we recognize that there is a better, more efficient, more effective way to get things done. And we are always looking for best practices. I am always looking for a better way to get the job done, a more effective way to get the job done, and I don't have any attachment to the tools. If a new process comes along tomorrow, I'm going to jump on it. With the proper inspiration and education and motivation. And this, again, is the key. Think of motivation as the fuel, as the fire, as the energy that's going to drive your team's goals. The motivation is tied directly to the inspiration. The inspiration is tied to the education. This formula is an interdependent, interconnected process. A highly motivated team that is inspired and focused and well-educated will take massive action. And this brings us down to the bottom element, and we will be transformed. And whether you're involved in a sales meeting, in an educational institution, or whether you're building a product and driving it out to the consumer, these 4 steps take place in every successful interaction: inspiration, education, motivation, and transformation. So if it's this simple, why must we suffer? And I can't think of a time in my lifetime where I have seen more clients, more companies, more teams suffering. Look at the results America is achieving. We talked about this in episode 1, an obesity rate of over 30%. Less than 30% of Americans are going on and succeeding in higher education. We have a 50% divorce rate. We have a 50% bankruptcy rate. There is a difference between something that is simple and requires hard work and something that is complex. The formula that I'm going to teach you is a simple formula. It takes hard work. But hard work is so much less painful than the damage that we are currently and the suffering we are currently experiencing. And I'm going to show you how this formula works in reverse. And this is something, this episode is called Managing the Emotion of Success. And we're going to take a look at this destructive cycle, because the challenge and the problem with any tool is that the tool has no conscience. A car will drive you to a wedding, a car will drive you to your honeymoon and marriage, and a car will drive you to the hospital or morgue. And this tool, this earth, water, fire, wind, ether, this ancient formula will bring success and empowerment and joy to your life, and it'll bring failure and tragedy and destruction. And when I look around me at America, I'm going to show you why it isn't working. And when we understand why it isn't working, we can get a better idea of how to turn things around. In the destructive personal cycle, we are setting bad expectations. Our what's, our goals are unachievable, they're unclear, and they're setting us up for failure. We have been raised by bad coaches. We have been indoctrinated into processes that really are dysfunctional. Our motivations have been corrupted for a lot of reasons, and we're going to explore what that looks like and why. And then bad habits. And when you take these 4 bads and you run them consistently, it's going to explain exactly why your life and our lives aren't working the way they can. Let's take a look at bad number 1, bad what's, bad inspirations. And the truth is, I blame Disney. You know, in the 1930s, we changed the story we began teaching our children. The new story, the new paradigm, the new goal for all of us has been happily ever after. And I'll be real honest. Happily ever after doesn't exist. If you live long enough, you will suffer. You will suffer loss of loved ones. You will suffer financial challenges. You'll suffer emotional and physical and career challenges. And if you go into the game with the expectation of living happily ever after, you've set yourself up for failure. You know, before Disney, we taught our kids, we actually read Grimm's fairy tales. And Grimm's fairy tales were grim. And we might think it's harsh, but, you know, to come into the world with realistic expectations, and here is our reality. Life is hard. Everyone will suffer. I've never met a person who didn't suffer. The tragedy is I've met lots of people that haven't experienced the great joys and the beauties and the brilliance that are out there. So change the expectation. Life is hard. You've got to go out and you've got to make great happen, and you're going to see a different outcome. Now, what happens after we have bad what's? Well, we had bad education. Look at who our first coaches are. Look at this little guy on the left. This little guy on the left is going, oh, God, look who's going to teach me the rules of life. And on the right of this slide, we got mom and dad. And, you know, God bless mom and dad. And if we were fortunate enough to have 2 of them, which, you know, what half of America doesn't have today, they were not perfect people. And they were struggling, and they were raised with bad expectations, and they were raised with bad coaching. And so, you know, the scriptures talk about the sins of the father being passed on for generations. And this is exactly what that means. Bad coaches passing on bad information and continuing a chain of bad results. We've got bad what's, we've got bad how's. Let's take a look at our motivations. We have bad why's in American culture. Look at this tragic figure on the right. There are people that are marching her down a runway and telling us that this is beautiful. And this breaks my heart. My mom and dad both served in World War II, and they fought to rescue women that looked like this. And for this to be held up as a model of beauty, and then let's take a look at Charlie Sheen, who is getting paid $1 million an episode, and this is what our culture is holding up as winning. And you go home today and you open your mailbox, and your mailbox is full of catalogs. They're telling you where to shop and what to wear and who to become, and they're lies, and they're false gods, and they are false outcomes, and they are false motivations. And so when you take bad coaching or bad expectations, you add bad coaching, bad motivations, and we toss in one more thing. We toss in bad habits, and you are your habits. How can we expect anything but tragic outcomes? You are your body. You are your bank account. You are your business. And so we need to, the model is working perfectly. When you plug in bad expectations with bad coaching and bad whys and bad habits, you are going to get bad results. And so now, when I take a look at America and what is happening and the results we're getting, it makes perfect sense to me. I have perfect clarity. Now I understand. The formula The ancient formula, earth, water, fire, wind, ether, has always worked. It can work to our demise or it can work to our success. It's how we apply it. And now let's move into an understanding of this formula used in the creative cycle. How do we manifest? How do we take all of our talent and all of our potential and all of our possibility and use it to change our lives and change the world? The earth element is where we set our goals, clear, compelling. The water element is where we develop our skills, scientific, detached observation. The fire element is where we get and we develop and sustain that burning desire and that commitment to succeed, that commitment to win. And the wind element is where we take massive action. And I was blessed to be born at a time in history that I think embodies this ancient formula in the use of technology in the most perfect model possible. I'm going to show it to you, and you are going to understand this so well and so clearly when we move through these steps. We're going to begin with earth energy. Earth energy is where our leadership from a grounded, powerful, resolute place sets a clear, compelling goal. And in 1961, the year before I was born, President John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and said, we as a nation should set the goal of sending a man to the moon and bring him back safely by the end of the decade. And Kennedy locked into a dream and a vision that has been, I think it's been inherent in all of us since that first primal man looked up at the stars and saw the moon. And the goal was clear, and it was compelling, and it was right out of this earth-centered leadership. So what did Kennedy do? Kennedy went straight to the best scientists, best minds in the world. He went to NASA. He went to where the specific knowledge and education exists, and he said, NASA, I need you to build me a rocket, build me a ship that will get a man to the moon and bring him back safely by the end of the decade. And NASA said, Mr. President, we can't do it. It's going to take us at least 20 years. We don't have the technology. And Mr. Kennedy, President Kennedy, exercising that earth decision, that command and control, said, you're going to do it in 10. Now, Kennedy had an ace up his sleeves, and this is so key. And when you have set a goal and failed, I really believe it's because the fire element hasn't been engaged. You didn't have that burning desire. You didn't have that motivation. So let's go back in time. 1961, my parents, my dad was born in 1919, my mom was born in 1921. They both served in World War II. They served as a direct result of losing. My mom's first cousin was killed in Italy. My dad's first cousin was killed in the Pacific. There was not an adult living in America in the 60s that had not been personally and negatively impacted by the war, and the fear of the Russians and the fear of the Cold War was prevalent throughout America. And Russia had just gotten Sputnik into space, and they were winning. And we as a nation were terrified. And that fear drove our fire and drove our motivation. And this was the key. This was the essential why. Part of the formula that made this work, and so we had a clear, compelling goal. We're going to send a man to the moon by the end of the decade. We had the best minds universally aligned on achieving this goal. All of America was committed to seeing this happen, and we took massive action. My dad was working at Lockheed at the time, and he told stories about the guys in the factory who were sweeping the floors of the factory. And when they were asked what they were doing, they would look you in the eyes and say, we're part of the space race. We are going to send a man to the moon. And these are the guys on the maintenance crew. And when America, when any company, when any organization has that kind of alignment and commitment to a goal and objective, success is the only possible outcome. And in this final level, in the wind realm, this is where we take massive action. And this is the transformational realm. And this is where an idea or a thought is driven through all four levels. Through massive action, it becomes a reality. So look at this formula in a corporate model. You have the CEO, you have the leadership driving the vision of the company. You have research and development. You have the water realm, studying, implementing, training best practices. You have your fire energy, your sales marketing team of people that are passionate and committed and connected to the mission, and they're driving the story and they're driving the sales out into the community. And you have your operations team, you have your wind realm, you have the people who are every day taking the actions we need. And when this happens consistently, it can take you to only one place, ether. It takes you to success. It takes you to that little star in the center of this. It's where imagination and creation marry and meet. And on July 20th, 1969, I sat on the floor in my family room with my mom and dad and sister, and we watched on this old black and white TV, and in this scratchy picture, I saw man achieve the impossible. And even as a child, I recognized that something profound was happening. And I looked over and I saw my dad, and I saw tears in his eyes. And I think in my dad's entire life, he probably cried 4 times. And these were tears of acknowledgement and recognition of the power inherent in all of us. And he had been a part of this process. And the most significant thing that I'm going to do for you as your coach is I'm going to show you how to embody this idea that whatever you can conceive and believe, if you are willing to work this formula, if you are willing to set the goal, get access to the skill sets, sustain a burning desire, and take massive action, you will achieve. And my challenge to each and every one of you, whether you are running a beautiful home or a Fortune 500 company, is what are your dreams? And where are they taking you? I love this quote. Albert Einstein is a great hero, mentor, coach of mine, and imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world, and as we play and train and grow together, I want to help. Part of my job as your coach is to expand your possibility, expand your belief in yourself, expand this idea of yourself, because I want you to dive into this creative pool and make something incredible happen. You know, I grew up in the 70s, and the 70s, it was about finding yourself, and to this day I hate that expression because it infers that God and the universe and their infinite wisdom have hid you somewhere under a rock, and that if you only go out and wander lost and aimless, maybe you'll be lucky enough to find yourself. Well, I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I believe that life is about defining yourself. And as your coach and as America's coach, I'm here to help give you the tools and the training that you need. Dr. Martin Luther King, as he changed and transformed the world, wasn't trying to find himself. He was defining him every single day in every thought, in every word, in every deed. And my challenge and my charge to you is to do the same thing, to define yourself as a hero, to define yourself as the answer, to define yourself as the solution. I wrote the last chapter of my book sitting in this bench on the right-hand side of the Santa Barbara Cemetery. And when I first saw it, the words carved in this granite really rocked my soul, waiting. What am I waiting for? When am I going to step up and be bigger and be brighter and be bold? I recognize better than most that all of us come with an expiration date. And if you think of that yogurt sitting in your fridge, you know, we have an end date. And that end date might be in 5 days. That end date might be in 50 years. But I challenge you to step up and to fulfill your role as a leader, fulfill your role as a hero, and make this world a better place through defining yourself as a magnificent person. I am so excited to share this adventure with you, and time in these trainings goes way too fast. This is going to wrap up episode 2. I can't wait to bring you into episode 3. Episode 3 is where we really get into the nuts, bolts, and the mechanics of how this works. We're going to be breaking down this earth energy, and you are going to learn what it means, what it feels like, what it is to be a leader, what it is to be a leader in your own life, a leader for your family, your organization, and your community. Patton was a powerful leader of men. Gandhi was a powerful leader of the world, and they both possessed the same skills, and although they were used very differently, the components, the secrets, and the techniques they used to change the world I'm going to be teaching and sharing with you in our next episode. Until then, here's what I want you to do. You need to go to my website right now, www.billpoett.com. Sign up for my free Daily Cup of Joy. It comes out Monday through Friday, and they are continuous training tips, tools, and motivations to keep you focused, to give you access to this information. We've had hundreds of people sit in on episode 1. I want to see thousands of people sit on episode 2. Please share this training with your team. Go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble, get a copy of my book, The ABCs of Peak Performers. It is an excellent training manual. It's going to help you develop the skill sets you need to build the beautiful, empowered, joyful life you want. Well, we're wrapping up this series. We've been through episode 1, How Life Really Works. Today we're wrapping up episode 2, Wisdom, Managing the Emotion of Success. And next, episode 3, I'm going to be inviting you to Leadership 101, how to drive success in your life and that of your family and organizations. This is Bill Poett. My website is billpoett.com. You can call me with any thoughts, questions, and needs at 805-637-8598 or email me at bill@billpoett.com. Again, I want to leave you with this challenge. What are you waiting for? I want you to step up. Today be magnificent. Today be the light that we need to make the world a more beautiful, glorious place. I love training with you. I love having you on the team. Until our next training session, God bless, and go out and make it spectacular. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Please stand by.